All right, guys, let's talk about your assignment. So what you're going to do is, like I just said, I sort of prefaced before I started recording, was to analyze a movie. So you pick your favorite movie or whatever movie you think is going to yield the best results, and your objective is to find one of each of these image composition methods within that movie. Okay, we're going to do some diagramming exercises with it as well. Sort of overlaying how the image is composed and what your justification is for that. But for now, we're only going to just work on pulling what those compositional methods are. Okay? All right. So we're going to use a Photoshop file that's going to be laid out on an 11 by 17 sheet. So let's set that up. We're going to say File New. Set it to 11 by 17. I don't know if we want to or need to do the math on it, but you can just hit OK on that. Oh, whoops. I have it accidentally vertical, so I'm going to go to image rotation, 90 degrees clockwise. There it is. I set mine to 150 dpi. It's not that critical for you guys because we're just going to take screen captures of stuff like right off of Netflix or something like that. So that part's up to you guys. Oops, I keep doing that. So essentially, there are a couple of ways that you can set this up. I do want you to have even margins all around, but I did want to show you. I want to show you like a pretty cool tool. If you want to set up guides to be exactly at a particular location on the page, it's pretty easy to do. Just go to View, New, and say New Guide. And here you can actually set it up so that it's at a particular position on the sheet. What's cool about this is, even though it says 0 inches, you can actually set it to be by percent, which is pretty nifty. So if we want it to be 1/3 of the way in, right? Because we have 9 cells we're going to create, so it's going to be broken up into thirds, just like our rule of thirds grid. We can actually say 33.33%. Whoops, that's a 5. And that'll put one on the third mark. And then we can go back, say New Guide, and we're going to put one on 66.67. And then I'll do the same thing, but I'm going to do it for horizontal. Okay, so now I have them at exactly 33%, or exactly 1/3 of the way across from each side. So the margins will kind of matter. I don't think you need to get too hung up on the differences between the inside cell and the outside cell, because if you think about it, right now I've got exactly the same distance from here to here as I have from here to here. If I put a 1/4 inch margin around the whole thing, then I'm going to have 1/4 inch taken off on the right hand side, and I'm going to have another 1/8 inch taken off here. Whereas in the center cell, I'm going to have a 1/4 inch taken off of the thing overall. It creates a difference of about 1/8 of an inch, but because we're not doing any rendered size and it doesn't need to be totally perfect, it's negligible for this exercise. Okay. So with that said, go ahead and drop a 1/4 inch margin around the outside. And then you'll have to zoom in a little bit to create the 1/4 inch margin here. What you're going to realize is the actual guide may or may not be exactly on a point. So you can, or exactly on one of the marks on the ruler. So you can get as accurate as you want to get. But for me, I'm going to try and keep it pretty light. So if this is an inch, that's the size of a 1/4 inch. So I need to go up here. And then that one is one below. Actually, I think I did that one wrong. Let me see. One below. 1, 2, 3, 4, This is 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't look right.
The top one's off.
Well, we're not going to get it exact, so I got to kind of drop it in there somewhere. And then we'll do it on the other side. This one looks like it's pretty accurate, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, somewhere there. Okay, so that's accurate enough. Then I'll go down to the other corner. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's not totally perfect, but it's accurate enough. When you look at it from this angle, from this far back, you can't really tell the difference. Okay, so if you don't hold shift, it won't force you to go on one of those tick marks. Okay, so that's how you can get a little bit more accurate. All right, so what we're going to do, and whether or not you guys have Netflix, you could pair up with a partner, somebody that does have Netflix. Oh, great. Hang on. So you can pair up with somebody that does have Netflix, and you can pick something to study. In this case, I'll choose Black Panther. So I'm going to pick something that I'm going to just try and seek out what frames I can pull for each of those particular references. Let's see here. Actually, that was a pretty good one. So just like this, you're going to see this kind of stuff all over the place. This is rule of thirds. So you can do this a couple ways. What I like to do is just put it in full screen and then just take like a screenshot. So control, oh, why are you doing that? Go away. All right. I guess you can't hit control. That's fantastic. We'll try snipping tool. Okay, you guys are familiar with snipping tool, right? So I'm gonna wait till it does that, and I'll hit new. It's gonna force me to do that anyway. You could just take a crop like this. It'll get the point across, right? So you copy it and paste it into Photoshop. Unfortunately, because it's like super widescreen, you won't be able to get it to be, you know, sort of perfectly cropped. But what I'd like you to do is just get it roughly correct, and then kind of emulate the idea of that frame in your crop. Okay, I don't want you to stretch it in, right? It's going to look super weird. But if the image itself is set up in a third, just take the image and line him up to the third line of that frame. Does that make sense? Okay, and then lastly, you can just select that box and then say select inverse and delete it, and then there's your frame for that one. So that's rule of thirds. Okay? Rinse and repeat 9 times. So you're going to need, and I'll repeat, rule of thirds, symmetry, image balancing. Remember, that's about how much real estate is being used by 2 separate objects in the frame. Leading, framing, objectifying or backgrounding, right? When all you see is the object and you don't see anything else in the background, no objects. Using depth of field, which remember is on the spectrum of in focus or out of focus. So there's a fully in focus, and then there's utilizing depth of field to pull things a little bit out of focus. Not the object of focus, but the background or foreground. And then there's objectifying or backgrounding, which is where you've completely defocused any context within the scene and all you see is the object. And then something where they're utilizing a wide angle or an unusual viewpoint. Okay?
Great.
What questions do you have? All right. Let's have at it.